Hello, this is Laura Wade, and I'm talking today about our reading. We read two pieces out of the Krasner book. The first piece was a reporter, Mark Gordon, talking about a centennial celebration of the Moscow Art Theater and how there were two empty chairs for Danchenko and for Stanislavski, and how it was kind of a celebration of Stanislavski's method. And within that, there was a lot of criticism about Strasberg and method acting, and so much so that poor Stella Adler, she says that it will take 100 years to reverse the damage that man has done, meaning Strasberg, to American acting. And another fellow, Bernstein, was talking about how terrible American acting was and how it was a bastardization of the system. And so I think there was some talk that it wasn't completely fair towards Strasberg. And I think if you take the method out of context and or you compare it to the Stanislavski system specifically, saying that he took one piece of Stanislavski, didn't finish the training, and has completely led people in the wrong direction, you could kind of come to that conclusion. But I think that when you really looked at the reading, the main piece was many people have been positively affected by Strasberg. There is hope for the method. And in the end, Stanislavski and Strasberg are both wanting truth in acting, truth in performance, truth in comedy, all of those things. And to get to truth, you have to look within oneself. And you cannot leave oneself behind when you're evolving into a character. A character must be the best of oneself in a certain direction of the character. So I think that in the beginning, it seemed kind of negative towards Strasberg, but when you look at the writing as a whole, it was also complimentary. So that was the first piece. The second piece was about the structure of the Actors Studio. And I thought that was really interesting because I think I was really trained by people who were not Strasberg fans. And I think it's easy not to be if you think there is a club, there is this actor studio that you are in, and once you're in, you're in. You're one of these people. And then there is everyone else in actor training. So if you weren't one of those people, then you're not going to be a fan of Strasberg's system, unless you look at it objectively. And so I think that is where some of this kind of hater attitude comes from when you deal with Strasberg. I don't think my teachers were huge fans. Most of my mentors were Meisner fans, Uta Hagen fans, Adler fans. But when you look at the basic of it, it is very similar. It's just what pieces do you take out, what works for you and what works for you when you're training actors, and those actors to train other actors. So I thought it was neat that I didn't know that there was a difference between the Actors Studio as a school and the Actors Studio as a nonprofit organization that helps directors, actors, and playwrights. So I thought that was pretty interesting in that part of the read, that there was an Actors Studio West. I did not know that. Also that, that Lee Strasberg didn't start the Actors Studio. I always assumed it is so synonymous. When you think of Lee Strasberg and you think of the Actors Studio, I think of them as being synonymous. So I think when you look at it that he didn't even start the Actors Studio, I thought that was surprising. And so that was actually good to learn. And Robert Lewis, who I absolutely love, I think he's amazing, that he was one of the beginning people of it, as well as Cheryl Crawford and Elia Kazan, which you have to love Elia Kazan. You can't dislike him. So I thought that was neat. Another piece that I mentioned it in a response to someone else's post in our writing, and it was not going to go there because it upset me so much, was the piece about they weren't sure when they actually studied the end of Stanislavski's work if he changed his work because of the socialist regime that he was living under in Russia. And was he only writing what he was allowed to write? And that is a very frustrating thing in the arts, that politics has to come into what we teach and what we do. And that when we think of what is the truth, what did Stanislavski actually find? What did he want from actor training? What were his actual findings on what he thought was the best? Maybe it isn't what he wrote, because what he wrote may have been clouded by political suppression and oppression. And I don't want to go to that thought, because then what is the truth? What is something that we can even find true when we read it? If I always say this, that every truth is perceived through the human, every single truth. What we read has been written by someone. And when it is written by someone, it is altered by what you believe, what your prejudices are. So no matter what we try, when we write something down, eventually it has some kind of prejudice. So I could talk more about this. All right, we'll see you next week.